What's up, beautiful people? This is Nate here.
It's Kev.
2/3 of the super group that is GamesMusicLyfe.
Yes, sir.
And we're back with a review for this Logic project titled Everybody.
Everybody, man.
Everybody, man. So, we'll see who's talking about with everybody. All right, man. So Logic, third studio album from the Gaithersburg, Maryland artist. The original album was actually supposed to be titled Aryan,
but he changed that.
Yeah, he got a ton of backlash for that name, the use of Aryan. You know, definitely what that stands for and everything. So the album was actually changed to Everybody, and then he instead took Aryan or Afric-Aryan and made it a track and made it a track name. So. So I don't know, man. I mean, last year's album, which was a project called The Incredible True Story, was my top 5 last year. You can go back and watch our top 5 from last year's projects, and I had it in my top 5. I thought it was definitely a dope project. So this was anticipated for me, man.
I feel it, man. I won't say that I was anticipating this. After we listened to the Incredible True Story or whatever, I respected his craft, and I could tell that he did have talent, but I didn't know if Logic was for me. Like, I don't know, that the hype was a little bit lost.
You didn't think he was authentic?
Yeah,
that's part of it too. You didn't think it was authentic.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we got into. I think this album was a little bit for you or people that had your same mindset. And
I can see that. We'll get into that.
All right, man. So it starts off with Hallelujah, man. So it was an upbeat track, man. The track, you know, with a name like Hallelujah, it has to be uplifting, has to be spiritual, some sense of it, and it definitely fit that mold, man. It kind of sounded like a hymnal almost. I felt Logic was spitting on the track. He paints a picture of the view of the importance of the Most High. It was a very long intro. I definitely like how the track allows the background singers to shine, though. The track ends with the start of the concept of the project. I think the concept on this one, unlike Kendrick's project, coming off of that one, which is a little bit layered, we couldn't really understand that concept. Yeah. This one was pretty vivid on what he was trying to get across. I thought it was a very good start to the project.
Yeah, with it, man, I felt like the energy on this track was fire, man. I love the keys and the vocals that kicked off the sound on the album. Mm-hmm. I think it was dope that Logic kind of kept the beat dialed back for the beginning part of his verse to kind of give you a little bit more of a chance to just hear him and what he had to say there, kind of let the lyrics take center stage there, and then let the beat build up with the verse until the drums and the strings kicked in. So with it, I thought that was pretty dope, and I thought that the skit at the end of the track was a lot of fun, man. Mm-hmm. Anytime you get to hear Neil deGrasse Tyson, you know, it's a lot of fun.
Right.
And it really did set the stage for what this album is going to be, or the concept of the album.
Okay. All right, man. So leading to track number 2, Everybody. What you think?
With it, that's my favorite joint in the album, man. The beat is banging. Logic's, his flow is on point, man. And the topic, or kind of the theme of the track, really comes across very clear on the track. It makes sense why this would be the lead single for the album, kind of getting everybody ready for what this album is going to be about or what he was going to be discussing. So I thought that this was a really good track.
Okay, no doubt, man. I mean, I love how the track starts with the chorus and uses uses an instrument, I should say. It ushers in the bass drop. The break in the lyrics just add emphasis to the bars. I thought was very dope. I thought that was just a little touch that he did that actually added very a good thing to the track. He actually did it throughout the album too.
Yeah.
But this one kind of stood out because it was the first one I heard it. Points out of him having a white and black blood running through his veins and how it was for him growing up being a biracial kid. So kind of sets the tone, which I didn't think he was going to piggyback more on it. We'll get into it. It sets the tone on that one. I thought it was a pretty decent track.
Yeah.
All right, man. It's leading to track 3, Confess, featuring Killer Mike. This one was another upbeat track with a head-nodding guitar, and the drums were very standout on this one as well. The keys or the guitar in the chorus, it was like, I couldn't figure out what instrument that was. But actually, I don't know what that was. It sounded dope, man. Stood out to me as well during the chorus. Having Killer Mike on the track, I'm sure Logic, thought he had to be on point, which he definitely did. He was snapping. But Killer Mike actually just gives a spoken word, which is very powerful. I would have rather had bars, but I can accept the fact that what he gave on that on that song because it fit. Yeah. So it's a pretty dope track.
That's funny. But with it, I actually wasn't crazy about this track. I really wasn't crazy about the beat on here. But I don't hate it. The beat didn't really capture me when I heard it. It reminded me of like a CNC Factory Grooves in the Heart kind of vibe. Like it had that real like 90s dance vibe to it, and I didn't really mesh well for me, even though I will say when the synths come in around the hook, I actually thought that the beat sounded a lot better. I felt like maybe that should have been incorporated a little bit more throughout the verses. With it though, Logic holds it down on his end. I felt like Killer Mike was a bit underutilized on this track. I would have loved to hear a verse rather than the freestyle speech at the end, but like you said, his words were very powerful, so I'll take it. But hey, anytime I hear Killer Mike rap, I want to hear him rap. So
absolutely. All right, man. So leading to track 4, Killing Spree, featuring Ansel Elgort.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
This track, man, it seems like it has everything working for it, but still something was a little bit off here, in my opinion. Maybe it was the hook being a little bit cringy or corny. The verses were actually really solid, and the substance is there. I feel like that's not a problem that you're going to run into with Logic, is, you know, substance not being there. So with it, you know, he goes through pointing out how a lot of the things that we glorify in society right now are actually counterproductive. And how much devices or, you know, kind of like the internet social aspect of things run our lives. The hook on here is still just it's just
You're my notes, man. You're my notes, man. So you know, like the beat is kind of dreamy, and heavy bass loop is actually it's head nod worthy. I found myself nodding my head to it until the hook. The hook made me cringe initially. You know, I understood why he did it towards after the first bars. I got it. He was snapping on it, man. I felt like he definitely flowed well on the actual track. Which to me though, what stood out was the feature, man. And the reason why is because I thought it was a decent offering. I was like, okay, this dude sounds pretty good. Let me see who it is. And I clicked on the guy. It's actually an actor, and I've seen him on my daughter's movies. He's actually in Divergent. He was like an actor. So it's like for him to come in and give I guess he's trying to get into singing now. I thought he did it surprised me.
Right. Yeah,
it definitely surprised me. So for who it surprised me. So it wasn't like it was something that you're like, oh, this is like James Blake levels. But no, for it to be a person who I can look at and like, oh man, this dude's an actor, and to give an offering like that, I thought it was pretty decent, man.
Yeah.
All right, man. So leads into track 5, Take It Back. This track had like kind of like a gritty vibe, you know, and follows it flows well. Paints a picture of his upbringing from his mom being a racist and calling him black slurs almost, and then going to school, and you know his skin, you know, he looks white, so then kids would call him white slurs when he went to school.
Right.
So you know he didn't really understand where he fit in the world. But I definitely felt it was dope. Once again, it kind of piggybacks on more we talked about earlier, being biracial. I thought this was actually done in a different way, kind of paints a big different picture, kind of lets you know kind of how he is, one of the layers that, you know, make up him. And I thought it was okay.
I feel you. For me, man, first things first, man, this beat is just banging. Like, that beat is absolutely bananas on there. The hook on this was actually a little bit weak to me, but Logic was bodying all the verses. It comes across very genuine and personal, as, you know, he's kind of going through, giving us a closer look at his life. And I felt like this was maybe his best attempt at kind of going through his plight of being biracial, where it wasn't like he was just kind of giving us empty kind of you know, lyrics or just empty subject matter about being biracial. He's actually kind of coming across like, this is my actual story. I felt like I was getting to know him on this track and understand why he is the rapper that he is. So I felt like this is one of his most important tracks, especially for this album. But just overall, I felt like I came away from that track understanding what makes him the MC that he is now because of that story. So I thought that was very dope, man. I always appreciate, you know, genuine music, and dude was just rapping his ass off. He was switching styles every few bars. Like, on the technical side of it, he was showing why he is where he is, or, you know, why people respect what he does so much, because he can just flat out rap, and you know, the content was dope.
Absolutely, man. Okay, no doubt. So track 6, America, featuring Black Thought, Chuck D, Big Limbo, and No ID.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Man, this, I'm gonna kind of contradict myself, but to hear, I felt like the beat was banging, and it still got a 90s like dance house vibe to it. But the beat came across really well on this one. It kind of reminded me of like a Lupe Fiasco hook on here. Black Thought comes through and he just wrecks shop as he always does. And I actually thought that Chuck D was a very nice touch on this track. Like, it didn't sound like just the old head that you brought on.
Right.
It, like, he actually fit, you know, the vibe of the track. So I felt like they were both utilized very well in this track, and everything came across pretty good.
Okay, so definitely mirror your thoughts, man. Hip hop. So I got written on this one, man. Just pure hip hop. The beat is throwback, just like you said, but I couldn't place my finger on what it reminded me of. Felt good to hear Black Thought, and even Chuck D came off in a decent way. I'm not a fan of old school hip hop, not really at all. So to hear Chuck D sound okay was cool. Logic is snapping on this track. Okay, he should make a video for this one. He definitely should make a video for this one. I think it will come off pretty well. I like how the beat transitioned down and added emphasis to the message on the track. That was a dope track.
I feel you.
All right, man. So leads into track 7, Ink Blot, featuring Juicy J. I didn't really know what to get from this one. It sounded like he kind of ran into Juicy J and they just made a song and he's like, I'm gonna throw it on the album. I think even at the end they kind of laugh about it and he's like, I'm gonna throw it on there. And that might have been a bet that he lost with Juicy J that it was gonna be on the album because it didn't fit. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Juicy J, but I can appreciate who he is and what he stands for, what he is. I mean, put it that way. Logic is singing on it. It leads to a couple bars. Then it's like him and Juicy J are going back and forth. I don't know if I ever want to hear that again. Him and Juicy J going back and forth. I don't think it's a terrible track. I thought it was a decent track, but like I said, I don't think it really fit the album. But
I feel you. For me, man, first thing catches me, man. That beat just catches my ear immediately.
Yes,
immediately. Just man, the bells and then kind of like that offbeat drum. And my God, when the Mafia chants come on right before Logic's verse, like, oh, so charged up.
It's a short track too.
Oh yeah, it was. It seemed like it was just like a verse, and then they kind of like even split the verse. So, with it, Juicy J was unexpected for sure. Like I didn't see Logic and Juicy J working together, but it worked out. It was pretty smooth on the track, man. It was a surprise pairing. I actually really like this track, but I am a 3 6 Mafia fan. I'm a Juicy J fan. So hearing Juice and him not coming off is being a struggle rapper on this track, when you're with a lyricist, I thought that was surprising and it worked really well, so I liked it.
Okay, I can accept that, man. All right, man, so he's in the track 8, most definitely. What'd you think?
For me, this beat was a little bit strange, the way it starts off so mellow and then just goes like super high energy out of nowhere. Logic's flow continues to be exceptional in this track, but I don't know that he's really saying much here. Like, it just seemed like he was kind of fitting those words into these patterns, but I didn't really get a clear message coming across on there. But I appreciate the verbal assault with no hook. Anytime a rapper can, give you all bars, I always commend him. So with it, he snapped, he went off. I might just have to dig a little bit deeper listening to those lyrics. I mean, I read through it, but I didn't really feel like he was saying much from what I read, but he was going off, so whatever.
Okay, I mean, pretty much with that, man. Now, I'm a little bit different on this one. The beat was kind of nuts to me. I definitely love the beat. I love the drums. I love the violin. It was definitely head nod worthy once again. Now, the chorus was so cheesy. I mean, it was Velveeta, Gouda, whatever cheese you want to bring up. Black people, white people. Stop. No, I don't want to hear that. It just sounded like I got what he was saying. I can even appreciate what he's trying to do. I just don't think it came off very well on this one. But other than that, he was snapping. He was rapping his butt off as usual. I just didn't like the chorus. So, definitely going to be objective and be both sides of it. So I didn't like that. But I thought the track was okay, man. I thought it was okay. So even though I'm not a fan of the chorus, I thought the track was okay.
Okay.
All right, man. So leads into track 9, Waiting Room. I don't even know if we need to discuss it really. I mean, it's really just kind of fitting. It's a skit feeding the narrative of the concept of the album once again. So that was okay. So leads into track. Oh, you got anything to say about it?
Oh no, I mean it was a skit.
Okay, all right. That was about it. All right, man. So leads into track 10, 1-800-273-8255.
Suicide
Hotline featuring Alicia Cara and Khaled.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I really appreciated how theatrical the beat comes across on there, and I think Logic's singing actually comes across very good on this track. The song comes across very personal, and again, I always tip my hat to anytime a rapper can, present a piece of art that sounds like it's close to them. Him kind of just talking about struggling with depression and realizing that suicide is not the answer. I mean, it goes dark, but it at least had a silver lining in there. It had a message, and I always appreciate that. So for me, I thought that this track was decent. It was good.
Okay, I mean, kind of piggybacking your songs, man. Logic is going for the bag on this one, though. No, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The track comes off kind of poppy, but in a hip hop way. It definitely sounds like an ode to Wiz Khalifa. Because I can see Wiz doing this song. It sounds like a Wiz Khalifa song almost. Yeah. But even though he has a pop vibe, the bars are there, but kind of like in a Drake light way. Both features body their offerings on this one, man. I love how the track let the vocalist breathe on it, and I just felt like the track was dope.
I feel
like it was dope. All right, man. So led into track 11. Anxiety featuring Lucy Rose. I mean, the track starts off letting the feature rock and then transitions into a very funky beat. The organ and the choir in the backgrounds was just so dope on this one, man. I just thought that was just so dope. Logic came in very aggressive at that point in the midpoint where he started rapping. And just flat out just snapping, man. I mean, literally, he's just snapping on that. It transitions once again into a slow, mellow vibe, and he's going to a little bit of a spoken word and ends the track. I thought it was a very dope track. It was this was my favorite track on the project to the point. Dope track.
I feel you, man. For me, the beat again was a banger, man. The energy in the beat just gets you right away. Logic doesn't waste any time, doesn't slack a minute with the bars. I felt like this was a very interesting take on anxiety, where he's actually kind of looking at it on the other side, the glass half full, saying, hey, listen, if you didn't have these times of being anxious or being sad or being nervous or whatever, you wouldn't know what it was to be happy, or this is what leads us to better times. This is how you know what better times are. You got to have those highs and lows. So I thought that was a very interesting take. Yeah, man, cool track. Cool track.
No doubt, man. All right, so he's in the track 12, Black Spider-Man. What'd you think?
Man, I absolutely love the keys on this track, man. They give the song just this regal, triumphant vibe to it. Now we get another track with Logic rapping about his coming up and being proud of everything that makes him who he is, which is pretty dope. And I like the little Donald Glover shot, or you know what I'm saying, the shout out towards the end of that verse. So I thought that was pretty dope, man. I liked it. I like Black Spider-Man.
Okay, I did too, man. The jazzy vibe. Maybe want to get up and clean the crib. I actually cleaned up a little bit listening to it, man, for real. Another uplifting track, man, touching on some different concepts of being biracial, which came off in a funny at times way, but also a very serious and dope way at times as well. Logic is once again singing a little bit on this one, on the chorus, and once again comes off pretty well.
Yeah.
All right, man, so he's in track 13, which was originally the title of the album at one point, which was Africarian?
Yeah,
Africarian, yeah, featuring Neil deGrasse Tyson. Now this one was a very long track. All right, It was 12 minutes long, almost a project in its own right. The beat is kind of simple initially, but goes into a very head nod worthy beat once again. But I felt it was done on purpose because Logic wanted the listener to hear everything he was saying, and really take note to what the message of the track was going to be. The track ends with a verse from J. Cole, giving a verse close, to close out the project, and definitely puts a nice neat bow on what the album was about. Being that J. Cole's a biracial rapper as well, and so is Drake. But basically, I think J. Cole is who Logic looks up to, in a way.
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
Yeah, so for him to close out the album with J. Cole, didn't even put him in the track list. So unless you listen and know Cole's voice, you probably would have thought it might have been Logic rapping. But I thought it was a dope track.
Yeah, man, I can't ignore how cringy that title is, man. For Logic, it makes sense though, so I guess I'll allow it. But that's a horrible title. But again, we revisit Logic's struggle with identity and being biracial, blah 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 blah. Beat here is pretty fire, man. Very laid back and classy. It was a cool way to close out the album. Now, for me, I didn't quite understand the J. Cole feature. Like, it's got like this demo quality about it.
Yeah.
It really sounds like Cole is almost sounds like you're standing next to Cole and Cole is just kind of rapping you his verse, trying to get your opinion and try to figure out what you think. I really think that Cole could have been better utilized on this album. I mean, it was an artistic way to close out the album, especially, if he's just kind of giving that, tip of the hat to J. Cole, letting him close out his album. But it was just placed very weird. And then it was like after the last Neil deGrasse Tyson skit, the track is okay, but it was a little all over the place for me.
To me, it kind of sounded like he was getting it ready for the next project. Like, it almost didn't fit the album, because even on the concept of it, he says, like, we got one more thing, and it was like it didn't fit, the album. So I don't know if maybe it was just like maybe that was an ode to the next project that's coming out.
I hope not.
Logic strikes me as somebody who has a lot of work. He strikes me as a workaholic almost, because he doesn't take any time off when he's rapping, and it comes off and it makes sense. Like, some people just rapping, you rhyming words, whereas like he
doesn't take a bar off.
He didn't take a bar off, man. He's snapping on there.
Yeah,
all right, man. All in all, what'd you think?
All right, so this is the second Logic album that we reviewed. The first one that we reviewed was the
True Story.
Yeah, some of the True Story, man. The Amazing True Story or whatever.
Amazing Race Story. Go ahead.
And my biggest gripe with Logic then was that he sounded like a lot of his contemporaries. Like, he sounded like Kendrick. He sounded like Cole. He sounded like Wayne. He sounded like Lupe. Like, it sounded like he was just a fan of all these rappers, and his style was just kind of theirs all wrapped into one. On this project, though, I really felt like he found his own sound. He found his own lane. There weren't any points in this album where I felt like, oh, he's trying to sound like this artist, or he's mimicking this particular sound. It sounded like everything was refreshing, or, everything was just him. It was authentic. And I really appreciated that about it. This album definitely turned me around on Logic. Now, I never thought that he was a bad rapper, but I didn't know that I would really check for his music. And if anybody else has felt that way about him, I would definitely advise you to check out this album, because I think that it'll change your mind. dude is a wordsmith. Like, he can rap, and you can tell that he takes the craft very seriously. So all kudos to him. My biggest gripe with this album, though, is you got to switch it up a little bit, man. Like, I mean, all of his albums, it seems like the overarching theme is about him being biracial. And I understand that may be a big part of his identity, but I feel like he's a more complete person than that. And I also kind of felt like, for what the features were giving you with Neil deGrasse Tyson, or the story that he was telling, about being God and a guy living all these different lives and everything that you have to do, basically, being true to yourself, don't worry about what other people are doing, treat other people with kindness and respect, that whole thing. I didn't really feel like I got a lot of that message in Logic's music. Like, if that was supposed to be the overarching theme on the album, so I do wish that I would have got a little bit more of that. Not to say that he didn't speak on it, because he did. Right. But I felt like I maybe wanted more of those tracks to be focused more so on that, more so than being about Logic's personal life or his upbringing or whatever. But I definitely feel like this was a very well fleshed out album. It's listenable for mostly everybody, and he didn't shy away from tough subjects on here, talking about suicide, depression, anxiety, being biracial, coming up, not being black enough, not being white enough, the struggle with his parents both being drug addicts, both doing time in jail, and just the things that he struggled with and the obstacles that he's had to overcome. I definitely felt like it was a very personal album. I felt like on this album I got to know Logic a lot more. And on the music side, it was very good. I do wish that he maybe would have used the features a little bit better than he did on here. He got a lot of talent on there, a lot of people that I wouldn't expect him to work with. And they came across pretty well, but I felt like they could have been better utilized. But overall, man, I had rate this album out at an 82. Well worth the listen. Very well put together album. My gripes are all minor. I definitely, I see the hype in Logic. I'll just be interested to see where he goes from here. But I thought it was a decent offering.
Okay. I mean, definitely to mirror some of the thoughts you said about, start with the bad a little bit. It's definitely drilling into the fact that he's a biracial kid, and the effect of that had to do with him definitely makes who he is. He doesn't do a lot of interviews, doesn't do a lot of, you don't really see him, really. Nah. So I think that's definitely owed to, basically just that. Now, that being said, I definitely had a Wale rant inside, because the reason why, just to bring on parallels here, we just got done reviewing Wale's project, and I think that sonically this was kind of an album Wale was trying to make. I think that Logic comes off in a singy way, but in a very good way. But then I had to realize something, man. Kind of like how you said, where you weren't really sold on Logic when we did this project last year. Even when I rated the last project in my top 5 last year, you were like, wow, I mean, we rated it was pretty good. But in my opinion, it was like he really did a good job of just rapping, putting out a good project. And then it was like kind of like me debating with you whether or not I can convince you that he was actually a good rapper. And with this project, he did. Where I think Wale was on the same cusp of that, where he was on the point where he could have tried to prove people wrong, or prove people, myself being right, being a Wale fan. But then I had to come to the realization that maybe he's just not as talented as Logic. And that was really one thing that I had to really swallow with that, is that this dude Logic is really talented, man. Yeah. He's snapping on this project. I mean, like, he doesn't take any bars off. He's rapping his butt off on this album. And so yeah, on half of it I can understand just basically his being biracial, but I don't need to hear 4 or 5 tracks about you being that way. Man. But even with that being said, he does it in a very good way.
He does.
It's like, it's more so subject matter for us. He touches on it as well, but he touches on other things during other tracks too. The production on the album was very, very good. And when I come to see, he did a lot of the production.
Really?
And it was very clean. I mean, it sounded good. It was mixed well. Everything flowed. The album flow was very good as well. I kind of wish the concept would have been dove more into. I wish it kind of would have been a little bit more hidden too, but to have Neil deGrasse Tyson on there, that's always a good thing, and to go into that. But the Kanye shout was definitely very dope too. the little riff he did with that, I thought was good. So I'm actually going to take 10 points away from Wale's album that I gave him last week and give it to Logic on this one. So I had it written at first to be a 75 for the project, but because of those 10 points, I'm going to bump it up to 85 is what I'm giving the project. So good job with Logic with the project, man. I think he did a very good job. And like I said, even the singing stuff that he did was good. Yeah. He fit a pop track in there. He's going to get the bag on that, and brung Chuck D out wherever he was at and threw his fist up. So
Yeah, I won't say that he made me a fan on here, but he did make me a believer. Yeah. I'll give him that at least. Yeah,
and that's why I said before, I think that this album was kind of made for you, because I remember it standing out. The last project he did, and I rated it, and you even rated it high too, but you was like, I'll never listen to it again. I don't know, but it was like your biggest thing at that point was you didn't know who the hell he was, and I think he did a very good job of explaining who he was on this project. A little bit too much at points, but hey, that's what makes him, man.
He drilled it home.
He definitely drilled it home. His mom ain't ish.
Right.
That's what he said. But yo, that's what we had, man. So let us know in the comments. What do you guys think? Was it too high, too low? Are you a Logic fan? Did you check the project out? What do you think?
Yeah. Let us know.
Who do you agree with?
Yeah.
We're both on par, I guess.
Yeah.
But yo, this is Nate here.
This is Kev.
2/3 of the super group that is Games Music Life, man. Drink more water, people.
Peace.
Peace.